First on my list is of course, Tenpai. We're finally in a meta where going second actually works, and no one likes it. Tenpai is a deck that plays almost 15 engine cards, and the rest is filled with hand traps and board breakers. So playing against this deck can be frustrating even if you always go first. And not only that, if Tenpai sets up the field spell, all their monsters are unaffected by all cards' effects, so your opponent's monsters are useless in the main phase. And if you make Transcendent in that main phase, then your opponent can't activate anything in the battle phase. So their monsters are useless in the battle phase as well. Other than that, what also makes playing against Tenpai frustrating is they spend 5 minutes building their end board, then it gets wiped with one board breaker like Reijiki. And not to mention this deck ignores Max C since you'll just OTK anyway. All this makes Tenpai arguably the best deck in Master Duel. Next on my list in random order is Yubel. Probably the best going first deck. If Yubel goes first uninterrupted, it'll easily end on 8 to 10 disruptions which no deck can play through without having board breakers, so it's an auto win in most cases. Your disruptions include monster negates with Apollousa and Phantom, linking with opponent's monsters with Soul of Rage, banishing cards with Little Knight, and destroying cards with Escape of the Unchained, and usually the out to Apollousa is attacking over it, but you can't even do that thanks to Nightmare Pain preventing you from attacking. And if it goes second, it's like Mekanko but better, thanks to Nightmare Pain allowing you to reflect damage by attacking into your opponent's monsters with your 0 attack Yubel monsters. It's also a good counter to Tenpai in this format thanks to cards like Nightmare Pain and Spirit of Yubel. Next we have Snake Eyes Fire King. It feels like this deck has been one of the best for so long now, and it still is since the banlist barely did anything against this deck. You very consistently end on a lot of disruptions, ranging from Apollousa to Masquerena and Little Knight, as well as Princess and Grave, Kirin Destructions, Avada Negate, and much more, and of course being Snake Eyes. This deck has a lot of starters which all act as extenders. If they negate Snake Eyes, you follow up Bonfire. They negate that and you follow up with Diabellster. If you use this deck, you'll know it can play through a lot of disruptions. And if you manage to get just 3 fire monsters on field, you're able to perform the very consistent Celantis OTK, which destroys 5 cards in the process. You can't go wrong with this deck. It might break sometimes, but it's still one of the best in the game. Next we have Voiceless Voice, a very solid control deck. What makes this deck unique is how good it plays under Max C. You're able to set up 2 to 3 disruptions with just one special summon, and it sets up good disruptions going first. Omni negates with Skull Guardian, inherent special summon negates with Soravis, destroy cards with Radiance. All while continually generating advantage every turn with your continuous spells and traps. So if you can't beat Voiceless Voice in one turn, there's a big chance you won't beat them at all. And of course your other ritual protects you from being targeted by discarding itself from hand, meaning this deck can play through a few interruptions. All this while also having protection from targeting and from being attacked with barrier. And even if you go second, setting up an early Skull Guardian is possible to negate further interruption from your opponent. And of course branded Despia is still here, and it actually got a recent buff. Branded opening has been semi-limited up from 1 copy, making the deck slightly more consistent. It's been like 2 years now, and branded is still meta. All the cards are limited to 1. But this deck still finds a way to somehow search branded fusion every time, or they just spawn it in their hand if you negate it every way they have to search it. And if you believe hard enough, Ash Blossom actually isn't real and it won't haunt you. You're able to set up more than 5 disruptions going first, ranging from monster banishes to fusing with opponents' monsters to destroying monsters with Furious Dragon. This deck is also extremely versatile with many different lines and combos, so it's one of the more complicated decks to play. But definitely worth it if you can build it and can figure out how to play it. And finally, we have Labrynth. It was either this or Ritual Beast, but I'm going with Labrynth. And I understand if you guys don't agree here. But this deck just got much better, simply because you'll now go first more often, and have a searchable counter to Tenpai and Dimensional Barrier, which is also good against many other top decks, and another counter to Tenpai and Daruma Karma Cannon. And this version of Labrynth doesn't always care about Feather Duster since you can get rollback to grave. To copy a trap from grave, sure you will struggle if you go second, but sometimes the deck can do turn 0 combos so you'll be fine. This is also one of those decks which if you don't beat in one turn, you most likely won't win, since cards like Lovely can destroy a card and set a trap from grave every turn, while Lady can set a trap from deck every single turn. Subscribe if this video helped. Here's my deck list. Thanks for watching. Make sure to also join my Discord to chat with a like-minded community.